Hello and welcome. This is Seeking Sustainability Live number 14. And we have Barrett Ishida today with us. Welcome, Barrett.
Hi, nice to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining. I've been a big fan of your YouTube channel and we're friends on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us from Tokyo today. And the most important comment I want to make today is I hear you're a Haribo fan. I was watching
yes.
your video and I want to tell you Swedish fish are better.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on
What?
that.
But you know, I'm a vegan now. I changed. I was a vegetarian for a long time, vegan. So Haribo is not vegan. So you got to go with Swedish fish. No, you don't like the Swedish fish? Anyway, I love that you're raving about Haribo, so I thought we'd have to challenge on the Swedish fish. So Barrett and I are both from Hawaii. Where on Oahu? Yeah, you grew up?
Yes, I'm from East Honolulu and Hawaii Kai.
Nice. So we're going to look at some of Barrett's photos from Hawaii to start out. This is Kakao. Have I said it right? I always say that wrong. It's really hard to say.
Kakako?
Kakao. Thank you. There was a farmer's market in Kakao. I always get it wrong. That I used to love going to all the time. The best food. And they're famous for all their wall graffiti, right?
Yes.
And you've got this great vista next to the park where I think the Japanese guy got mugged a couple years ago. Wasn't that here?
Yeah.
But we won't talk. That rarely happens, really. You know, Hawaii, Oahu is pretty safe.
Yep.
Just, any comments? You like this area? This is a nice area.
Every time I go back, it's like completely different. So it's a completely new Hawaii, completely new Honolulu from the time that I lived there. So just getting to see the changes and trying out the new restaurants and cafes and whatnot, it's very exciting. It's definitely kind of like a travel as well as going home to visit. Those pictures, trying to look at it. I had some extra time before meeting some friends for dinner, so I just parked my car, took a walk around, and took some pictures.
Beautiful. You're a talented photographer. What kind of camera are you using these days?
I have a Sony Alpha 7 III.
Nice.
Yeah, I was Nikon before, but I switched in the past couple of years.
I like this, how you can see all the graffiti on the old warehouses and the fact that they're trying to reuse this old warehouse area and make it more fashionable and get people there. That's also a feature of sustainability, right? And we see that happening in Japan too sometimes. Like my area of Hiroshima, we've got old wharf area. And they've reused the old wharf buildings to make it like into shops and restaurants and stuff. Are you seeing that happen around Tokyo?
I am. For example, like in Ueno, I was taking, I don't go that often, but there are some like warehouses that have converted into coffee shops and cafes / bookstore / bakery. And then right across, you can kind of watch people do crafts, like make wooden tables and whatnot. I noticed in Akihabara, if you walk a little bit north from the main station, there's, I forgot the name, but underneath the tracks there, they converted that space into a bunch of pop-up shops. So a lot of up-and-coming designers and artists are selling their stuff there. It's cool. Yeah.
And then, of course, with COVID going into the future of commerce and tourism, we're going to have to be outside, right? So these kind of areas where you kind of beautify the industrial area, I think what they've done in this area is so clever and it works so well. And it could definitely be applied for other areas of Japan or, right?
Yeah, because I think people who don't know Hawaii a while ago, from a long time ago, don't realize that Kakako was really just a bunch of warehouses. Yeah. And the only time that I would go there was to get school supplies from Fisher, Hawaii. Otherwise, there was no reason to go there, right? And then I think they slowly started to develop it and kind of change it a little bit, and now it's like a hot spot in Honolulu, right?
I love the new down to earth they have down there. They've got a,
Yeah.
you know, down to earth, that like health food
Yes.
store chain, and they've got an awesome like hot food buffet or just amazing products there, and of course all vegan, vegetarian, and it's just amazing. I love that. And so I think that area is kind of attracting a lot of new business because of what they started with in the external beautification or making it
Mhm.
interesting and fun. And then they had like night markets and food trucks and stuff for a while.
Yeah. Yes.
Were you living there when that was happening?
I was not, but on vacation when I went home for one time, I did get to check out one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was amazing. It was awesome.
Cool. I was really
Yeah.
sad that I wasn't living there when I heard about that.
Yeah.
Here's another one of your photos of the Tantalus view at
hmm
sunset. So nice.
Yeah, Tantalus. That time that I went was like the first time I've been there for in like years, like probably more than 10 years. I forgot how beautiful the view was,
Yeah.
especially during that sunset hour. Like you can see way out west all the way to Diamond Head and out east. So it's definitely a huge 180 view. That's gorgeous.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I think.
one thing I always appreciate when I'm looking down at Diamond Head, or even like your view before, where you
Mhm.
have Kakakau, but it's kind of low rises, so that you can see the marina, you can see
Mm.
Diamond Head, right? Like there
Yeah.
has been some urban planning so that you can still have the view,
hmm
right? I think that was on purpose.
Yeah. Although in the ward area, if you can see the towers out there, there are some taller buildings coming up.
Hmm.
Um, but in the in between area where Kakaako is, it's still somewhat low.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hopefully that continues. And I think
Hopefully.
that's something that is kind of a problem in big cities in Japan, is there's not as much planning. Like I know for Hiroshima, we have this view from our Peace Pagoda Mountain, which is near the Shinkansen station. And I
hmm
often walk up there. It's a great view of the city. But now you've got like here and there some weird, very tall condos, you know. But if you look at Waikiki, they're kind of all the same height, and there's a
Yeah.
height limit, right?
Yes.
So, and then there's some areas where they're saying no high rises. So let's just think about it a little bit. What do we want it to look like, right? So
Yeah.
I
I
think
noticed that too. There is no overall plan, I think.
not.
Like
Yeah.
I used to live in Fukuoka, and there's an area called
Uh-huh.
Mojiko, and there's like one tall tower, and the whole area is kind of like this European feeling, area, but you got this like one high rise, and it really is an eyesore on
It
the area, and I'm not
really
sure what was
is.
the planning behind that.
And then whenever I ask people who are in, city planning, what was the plan? Quite often they're like, there wasn't really a kind of concept for the area. It was just individual contracts, which
hmm
is kind of a shame. Now this is a beautiful tent from your friend's
Yeah.
wedding. I hope
Yeah.
they don't mind me showing their
No.
wedding picture.
Yeah.
But I
Um.
wanted to show this because I love the idea of an outdoor wedding, and something you don't often see in Japan, right? But
Yeah.
Hawaii is famous for outdoor weddings because, of course, we have the beautiful views and the beach weddings. Everybody at Ala Moana getting married every day, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that was a really nice wedding. It was up in Tantalus.
Uh
There
huh.
is kind of like a area that you can have weddings at. Yeah, just very much really in nature, very casual. Particularly with my friend's wedding was extremely casual. But that was just fun. You're focused on the friends and family that are there and just having a good time rather than kind of having this fake church wedding like they do in Japan, and following very strict rules and procedures. I just think, yeah, this picture kind of shows that it was just a lot of casual fun.
Yeah, and I love that about Hawaiian culture, how, it's this laid back attitude to even
Mhm.
parties, like come when you're ready. There's no like exact time.
Yeah.
How are you finding that adjusting to Tokyo and Japanese
Um,
business culture or party culture
well,
even?
yeah, it's very different because here it's you definitely are need to be on time, if not a little earlier.
Yeah.
When I was living in Fukuoka in my first 5 years, I did get in trouble a few times at my office. Just I mean, not a big deal or anything like that, but like 5 minutes late or something, So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, it was an
basically
adjustment.
people I when I started working here, people would say if you're on time, you're late. Like
Mhm.
be early. Early is on time in Japan, right?
In Hawaii, though, if you're on time, like sometimes it's a little bit too early,
Right?
so
Yeah,
you have to be a little bit late.
it's kind of rude. Like you go to
Yeah.
someone's house party and they're like, you cannot go in till like 5 minutes after. It's like too early. You're on time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I love this photo that you took of one of the guys at the party, maybe one of your friends, and all the tattoos.
Mm.
So tattoos, there's a big difference being in Japan too, right?
It's very different.
Now,
Um,
do you have
and
any tattoos? Have
no,
you had?
I don't have any tattoos. I thought about it when I was younger, because I had a good friend. He got a bunch of tattoos, but my parents were very strict on me not getting tattoos.
Which makes
So
it
I
easier still in
oh,
Japan to work, right?
yeah, because there is definitely a stigma on tattoos here. But I just realized my Japanese colleague has tattoos like behind his neck,
Wow,
or behind his,
maybe
so
you work in tech. Maybe that's anything creative or tech
yes,
is maybe more liberal or
we're not the typical Japanese company.
no, no. Oh, that's good. That's good. You found a good company.
Yeah.
Um, I love this picture of you at China. Is that Chinaman's hat or Poi Panda, right?
Um,
I wasn't sure.
it's not coming, but yeah, it's probably Chinaman's. Yeah, Chinaman's hat.
I love that area.
Yeah, we're just driving around the island, a couple of friends and I, because we're all like city people, so going on an excursion around the island is kind of a big deal. So one day we just went around, and it's amazing how many beautiful views there are once you get out
Oh,
of
yeah.
Honolulu.
Absolutely. I love driving around Oahu. And now electric cars are becoming more common.
Hmm.
So
Definitely.
even in Japan, I think the future of travel is definitely going to include more drives because
Hmm.
packing into trains or airplanes is just not going to work with the new
Hmm.
reality, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How about cycling? Have you ever cycled around Hawaii or Japan?
I have done like a bike ride when I was younger, like in high school, junior high school time. And in Japan, my first 5 years, I was in the countryside, and there was no train to catch to work, so I was bicycling every single day. But
Yeah.
ever since coming to Tokyo, I haven't.
Yeah,
I kind of miss it though.
I don't know a lot of people that cycle in Tokyo. It might be, but it's probably possible. It just depends what routes. We've had a
Yeah.
few comments so far. Motoyuki Ide says Hawaii Dreamland. I'm glad you're enjoying these Hawaii photos, Motoyuki. And Mayran on Periscope says hello. Thank you for joining, guys. We are first starting with a tour around Hawaii with Barrett's beautiful photos, and we're reminiscing because we're both from Hawaii.
Yeah.
I love this derelict theater. Is that in Kaimaki?
It's in Kamaki. It's an old theater. I don't think it's in use now, but yeah, I would always see it, and when you live in Hawaii, like you really don't notice what's actually there, but when you move away and you come back and you kind of just take in the changes and the old buildings and just like the lifestyle and stuff, like it's there's a lot of interesting buildings and a lot of interesting areas to really get into and explore, and that was just one of them. I went to a new cafe in the area to try it out, and just took a picture.
There's
Yeah.
a great like student-run cafe right opposite that corner, which I hung out at when I was working at UH a couple years ago.
Okay. Oh, wow.
But I keep thinking, wouldn't it be great if they like reuse this building in some way? Like
Oh, yeah. For sure.
even if they opened it up to like student art projects or found some way to utilize that building because it has such a great classic look.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if there's any plans for it. Like I'm not really aware, but yeah, they definitely should not tear that down.
No, for sure.
They need to
Classic.
keep it in. Yeah, for sure.
It's like, in Japan, in Kagawa Prefecture,
Hmm.
they have
Hmm.
a bunch of islands and they do a big art festival in the
Okay.
summer month,
Okay.
spring, summer, and autumn months. So when they do this festival, they do it over a long time, and
Hmm.
they give these old classic Japanese houses to student groups from universities around Japan, and they
Hmm.
come and they take, they use the house and they create these art installations and stuff, so it brings tourism to the island. And not only during the festival, but during the rest of the year when the students are going and setting up their art and everything, of course
Hmm.
they are customers for the island as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Smart.
so there's, some lateral thinking, creative ideas to
Hmm.
reuse derelict buildings in a very
Hmm.
useful way for the community and to
Hmm.
bring income and interest as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I think that's a really good idea.
And
I
this
think.
area, Kaimaki, is really near UH.
Yeah.
So
Prime location.
seems like students could use a building like this in some
For
creative
sure.
way, right?
Yeah, and I think Kaimaki is. I mean, I get the creative vibe from Kaimaki as it is. So definitely they should do something in that space.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And there's a right opposite. There's some really good businesses. There's that great gelato shop right there. Did you
Via
go?
Gelato. Is it
Yes,
Via
yes,
Gelato? Yeah, it's good.
yes. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah.
good. I love that. This is your picture of Chinatown in Honolulu, which I really like. Can you
Oh yeah.
see the bus in the back? It's kind of
Yeah.
small, but what do we see on the front of the buses in Hawaii, which we don't see in Japan? There's a little quiz for you. You can see it here in your picture.
Um,
What's on
oh, bike. The
yeah,
bikes. The
the
bike rack.
bicycle. The
Yeah.
bicycle. When I was in Hawaii a couple years ago, I took some students there and I was so impressed. I had forgotten how people put their bikes on the bus, how people with wheelchairs can get on the
Mhm.
bus, right?
Mhm.
So the
Mhm.
bus is really Hawaii's only public transport at the
Mhm.
moment, right?
Yeah.
But it's so accessible to a diverse group of people. I was very impressed by it.
Yeah, I mean the way it lowers down for you, and the stairs fold out for the wheelchair, stuff like that. I think it's definitely something that Japan should try to do a little more of.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
are you married? Do you have kids?
No kids. Yeah,
So
married, no
once
kids.
once you have kids, you will notice how difficult it is to get on and off buses and transport and up and down stairs in Japan. So, this is the kind of thing, if you want more kids to be born and raised in Japan, you got to think about this stuff, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's interesting.
so yeah, something to keep in mind for future. Hopefully it'll be better by the time you have kids.
Yeah.
Another thing I love about this, the fruit stalls. Do you notice anything different than you would see in Japan with the fruit stalls?
But they're not covered in plastic.
Yeah, exactly. So I love this in your photo. Everybody's wearing slippers. Everybody's, very relaxed when they're shopping. And there's not loads of plastic packaging everywhere. I really love that. Yeah.
It's
So,
it's something I got used to though in Japan, living here for a long time. Everything wrapped up in plastic or like even cut up for you.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
It's
different.
just normal, right? It's how people get used to it. And then hopefully people are starting to get used to carrying their own bags and stuff now. This is Haleiwa. I love the river, and then the river connects to the ocean in Haleiwa
Yes,
here, and they rent out the SUP boards. Have you done this?
I have not.
No? So
I don't have.
I did
Yeah.
it last time I was home, and they've got kayaks and sup boards. And this is something that they're doing in Hiroshima,
Mhm.
along our rivers as well. We can rent out sup boards, and I don't know if they do kayaks, but SUP, stand up and paddle, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I call it sit up and paddle because I always fall off if I stand up. But
Yeah,
this is
I was a little intimidated. Like it looks really hard.
no,
So I was gonna ask you.
you see what the lady here is doing? That's what I do. I kneel or I sit, and then you don't fall off quite as easy. But this guy beyond, he's standing up. My kids can do that. I can't do that.
I would be sitting as well.
Yeah. So in Hawaii, we have kailua. You can do that.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
haliva, right? You should try
Mm-hmm.
it
Yep,
sometime.
I
Maybe
should.
come to Hiroshima and try it. We'll
Yeah.
get you started. And I like this what is it? Like a destination board where it says how far away New York is or South America and the surfboard on the top. Really nice
Yeah.
picture.
I thought it was kind of funny. It's just like a random like pole in the middle of the town. So
Yeah.
just took a picture.
Yeah, when I went to, I was telling you about that art festival on the island in Kagawa. So when I went to that festival, I was walking through the town and they had one of these poles and it said Mililani on it.
It's so random.
And I was like, that's really random because I went to
Yeah.
Mililani High School. I was like, so I asked the staff, I was like, why do you have Mililani? Like, that's so random. And then the guy who owns the shops is like, I went to Mililani High School. And I was like, no way. And he graduated around the same time that I did. So he had a yearbook from my hometown in Hawaii. It was unreal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
on this small island in Kagawa in the middle of nowhere,
So
So
is he from Hawaii and moved to Kagawa?
he was from Japan and I think he just spent 2 years there during high school. Yeah, just so amazing. Like what a small world.
Yeah, seriously.
So then, of course, I'm Instagramming, showing the picture of the yearbook to my friends in Hawaii. And wow, what a small world, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
This was from your friend's wedding. I love the cupcakes. The low key style Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean,
wedding.
it's just easier to just take it yourself rather than having to cut it and everything,
It's
right?
awesome. And then you have less stress on the staff because you don't have to cut all the pieces. You don't have to have all the plates. So I love this easy, hang loose approach to the wedding cake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. And they're good too, just for the record.
Yeah, they're yummy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I think they're made there's a company that makes all kinds of cakes and cupcakes called A Cake Life back in Hawaii. And they do a really good job making fancy cakes for all these parties and get-togethers.
Nice. That sounds awesome. And then I love this wedding shot during the ceremony, which is just like in the forest.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so
It is.
relaxed.
And even the seating, it's not in the picture, but there's a sign when you come into the area and it says like, just sit freely because this marriage means that we're all family now. And I think that whole mindset is very different from how it is here in Japan, whereas like this side is for the groom, this side's for the bride. And like, there's not much mixing together and, coming together. So I think that approach, I really like that.
Yeah. And it's so personal. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's missing a lot from a lot of weddings anywhere in Japan or anywhere. Everything's so formal, everything's so serious. You have to have the speech now. You have to have the MC. You have to have the Disney music when the bride walks in. Why? I don't know. So I love seeing your photos and, you have the feeling that, like you said, everybody becomes family and how lovely. Yeah. And they're lucky that they had a friend who's such a great photographer like you.
Thank you.
I like this photo of just a random street where you can see Diamond Head behind. Where is that?
Yeah. It's where is it? It's kind of near Casey's Kapilani Community College in the Kapahulu area. I remember because my mom used to work at KCC, and we would go and pick her up after school sometimes, and I would always see Diamond Head kind of, on the horizon, over these like really local Hawaii looking homes. And so I just went back and, with the telephone the poles and everything like that, I think it was really like a local, regular Hawaii picture. And so, just decided to take it.
And the garbage cans in front of everybody's house.
Yeah.
That always surprises me. It's like in Japan, how do you do your garbage? You have community garbage, right?
Well, there's on the basement there, or not basement, but like on the first floor there is a big room, and it's just like all separated, like burnable trash, bottles, plastics.
So you have different days, so you got to put it out at your apartment. Like in our area, we're in a house, so it's very strict. Like you have to put it out on a certain day. Maybe mansion is different, like apartment block.
Yeah. My place back in Fukuoka, we had certain days. To be honest with you, like I don't know the days in my current place. I just throw it into the bin and it's gone when it's gone.
Well, it's somebody's. You're paying for that service at the apartment, right?
Yeah. Yes.
How about getting rid of big things? Is it possible to get rid of big things? Daigomi?
Yeah, you have to get the sticker, and then you pay for a sticker, and it depends on how big it is or what it is. You buy the sticker, and then they kind of slap it onto the product. And there's a section for that as well in that room, and then they take it sometime.
Did it take some time to get used to the garbage system in Japan compared to America? California is really strict. Silicon Valley is really strict.
Yeah, when I was there, it was already separating like plastics from burnable and yard trash and whatnot. But I didn't know that it's different city by city in Japan. So when I moved to Fukuoka, I was living in a smaller city called Yukuhashi, and you have to buy special plastic bags. They're all color coordinated, so like yellow's for plastic bottles and red is for glass and so on.
Wow.
And I didn't know, like, the bags are kind of expensive, but I guess that's paying for the garbage collection and everything.
Yeah.
So I took a trip to Hakata, and I saw that the trash bags there were cheaper, so I decided to buy their trash bags, and I didn't realize that you can't use their trash bags in...
Because it's area specific, right?
Yeah, it's not even prefecture specific. It's like really local area specific. So I just bought like a bunch of trash bags that I didn't need or couldn't use.
I did a big trip. Well, I've done a couple trips out to Japan's zero waste town of Kamikatsu, where they try to separate all the garbage and burn nothing. And I was telling some of my friends in Hiroshima that, and they're like, "That sounds like hell." And I was like, no, but that's what we need to go for. Like, that's what we need to try to do, right?
Yeah,
and one of the big ways that they're successful is everybody has to compost. So all of your kitchen waste, all of your food waste has to go in your garden. So immediately that's like 30% down of everybody's trash, right?
Yeah.
So I tried that when I came home, and it decreased our garbage a lot. So composting really helps. I don't know if we do composting in Hawaii. Do we? Composting? Yard waste.
Not yard waste is separate.
Like a green bin or something?
Yeah, there's a green bin. Yeah.
So anyway, garbage, this is something, places around the world are struggling with. This is really tough. But definitely try to do better is the way to go, right?
Yeah, baby steps for sure. I mean, when I go home though, like I'm just surprised that everything goes into one bin. Like I feel like that's so wrong.
It's really wrong. So that's good that you've gotten out of that, especially for an island of Hawaii. It's not a good thing. This next photo of your tentless at sunset and the couple hugging down there is so sweet. Of course, pre-COVID, right?
Yes.
No masks, no hugging, but out in open space. I think this is still possible in the future to do things outside. Picnics outside instead of crowded restaurants. Definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
And then the last photo, you actually sell your photographs from your website, right? And
I do.
You make nice prints and send it to people. So I love the Center Hawaii Theater. We were talking about the derelict Kaimaki Theater, but this one is actually been renovated and in use, right?
Yes.
I love this.
Yeah, it's just right in downtown, and it really stands out. I mean, there's not many places that have that kind of neon lighting and just says like, Hawaii right there.
Yeah.
So one evening I was in the area and I decided to go out and um, take a picture. Yeah.
I love that. And they've done such a nice job with the remodel. And
Mhm.
I think it's in Chinatown. Where is that
It's
theater?
I forget what street it's on, but it's close. It's definitely right in the middle of downtown though.
Yeah. And then we want to get to the excellent articles you've done on your website about the branding during COVID.
Hmm.
But let's quickly look at some of your Japan photos. So you were
Okay.
living in Fukuoka for a while. This is
Yep.
one of your yatai. Fukuoka is famous for its night market,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. They're famous for having these food stalls. They line up in the Nakasu area of Fukuoka City, and it's just, I mean, there's only a few seats for each booth, but people gather and just have a good time. And yeah, with the COVID thing, that's going to be interesting to see how they manage that because you're really close together.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe if, the outdoor eating should still be okay, but maybe adding tables or every other seat
Something.
you can sit
Hmm.
on. Hopefully they'll find some way to move forward. Doing more
Yeah.
takeout is definitely popular, right? And the way
Yeah.
forward.
Hmm.
And then you have this beautiful bamboo forest, which I used for your poster. That's a
Yeah.
great one. Is that with
Yeah.
a fisheye lens?
It was with a fisheye lens. Yep. Um, that's Arashiyama bamboo forest in Kyoto. I went with my family several years ago. This was right before that tourism boom. Like now, it's very hard to see the forest looking like that. Like you're gonna get just the tops of people's heads. But it was after it rained, and so I guess nobody was out, and so we went out, and there was not many people out, in that area, and so I had just clear shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Because usually I see this in loads of people's Instagram and everything, but it is packed with people.
Mhm.
And I really hope Kyoto especially is more strict about limiting number of people that can go in or staggering entry or doing things that any mass tourism site is going to have to do now post COVID. And then your visitor experience will be like this, so much better.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. And I don't think, I mean, these places definitely weren't made to handle thousands of tourists at a time walking into their, gardens and, so yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But they definitely need to control that.
I think so. There's certain tourism management things, strategies that you can put in place, which definitely will help the visitor experience and make it more attractive to people who want to go, right?
Yeah.
This is all your Japan photos on one page from your website. I love all these photos. You've captured the seasons.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but I guess, yeah, I did. Japan's, I mean, of course, the seasons are amazing, right? And they're very, prideful about the seasons, and they should be. They got beautiful snow landscapes. Their fall is my favorite, though. Fall is so gorgeous here. And then, of course, the cherry blossoms. So,
Yeah, awesome.
yeah,
And you guys had some snow in Tokyo this year, looks like?
yeah, we did, but most of it occurred in March,
That is
like
so
mid and
weird.
late March. Yeah, we had one big snow day at the end of March. That was already after the cherry blossoms were out, so it was kind of strange. Interesting though.
Wild. Yeah, right when the sakura was out. I remember that,
Yeah.
seeing people's photos.
Yeah.
This is also, you're doing like a photo shoot service for people if they want around Tokyo. These are gorgeous photos, Barrett.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you've got
Some of it,
you've got a good
some of it,
eye.
some of it is just friends on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Others were for work at my company, and then another couple were I was hired to take pictures for their business.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, I mean, your main job is marketing, and you're at a
Yes.
marketing company. And
Mhm.
I saw in your YouTube video, you're talking a little bit about the difficulties during COVID of working from home, the different pressures and stuff.
Yeah.
How's it going?
I think we've done pretty good. I think we've done better than average for a Japanese company because we're already in that IT kind of space. We're already used to. We already had everything in place, so we were able to video chat, get into group meetings online. We deal with people remotely a lot of times, anyways. The difficulty comes in when the clients can't do it or weren't used to doing it. So, there were Japanese companies requesting people to come out to their office after everything started, and so that's kind of the most difficult part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hard.
But as far as like internal communications, we do twice a week. We rotate small little groups and just kind of have like a free talk and just a chat. We have team meetings a lot. Yeah, I think we're doing pretty good, actually.
That's good. It's an adjustment, definitely, for every business. And the fact that you guys still have business coming in, that's really good. A lot of businesses are struggling. This is your photo of you with your mask on in Shinjuku. And you also caught Harajuku during the coronavirus. That is crazy. So busy.
So I did go out in the middle of March for a day, and that was like mid-March after it was already starting. So I just remember thinking, like, what's going on? Like, what? Everything in the news was about COVID, and the streets were packed. Like nothing was going on. So I just like decided to take a picture because I was kind of in awe of what was happening.
Yeah.
And I just thought there was like this, I don't know, like this. I don't know what you call it. We say heiwaboke in Japanese, just kind of like oblivious to the reality, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's happening now too, right? Like people just aren't sure about what's happening, and that's due to lack of testing maybe. So hopefully everybody's right and there's nothing to worry about. But people should still be cautious if they can.
Yeah.
Aimi Takaki, thank you for your comment. She says you got a great eye for photography. Yes, I agree. All right, let's go to your articles on branding. I was so interested in that. And I think your perspective, maybe because of your Silicon Valley experience or working for marketing or just, your background, you've got a really good understanding of creating brands that show that they care. And that's a big part of sustainable branding, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's see, where should I start on this?
So
I think it's a little...
Yeah.
It's definitely different.
Yeah. I've got your screenshot here. You compare Japan's branding reaction after Corona and the Hawaiian company's reaction. And so we'll go through step by step and talk about some of them, if that's okay. You say in your article, looking forward, Tokyo has two outcomes. One can only guess what will happen, but either Tokyo is a ticking time bomb or it somehow escapes. Hopefully the latter. You still feel that's true?
Yeah, well, there was a time where, the numbers of cases really exploded, right? Like it was really flat. And then I don't want to suggest anything, but after the Olympics was postponed, it started to really go up. And so to me, that kind of seemed like it was going the ticking time bomb route. Luckily, it seems to have gotten under control from what we can tell. So hopefully, this is it, and we can just kind of figure out how to move forward from here.
Yeah, I hope so. Another thing you said is the third possible reason is there seems to be a lack of social responsibility. I've noticed that outside of sales, profits, and losses, other measurable data points, things such as brand building, public relations, human resources, social responsibility have not become a big thing yet in Japan. It doesn't mean they have ill intent by any means. They're just slower to mobilize and be proactive when it'll mess with their normal procedures and balance sheets. If the App Store is any indication of people moving to remote work, Japan doesn't seem to be in a hurry. I thought this was really insightful and spot on.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
You really did your research.
I I did. And this is publicly available if anybody else wants to see. You
Yeah.
have this great graphic showing the iTunes downloads for different countries. You want to comment on that? That's awesome.
I was really surprised because I mean, I think these, download rankings give a slight insight on, what the market is doing and what people are doing. And on this date, I think it was like March 18th or something. It was like in the third week of March. I looked at the App Store in Japan because I wanted to see which apps or which forms of media and which communication tools are they going to be using when we all go into this remote kind of work environment. And I was surprised because there was like no apps that came up that enabled that to happen except for Zoom, which was, I think it was like number 8 or something.
Yeah.
But it was like all games and like point cards and stuff. But when I look at US, France, Spain, UK, and so on, there was at least a few apps that enabled online mobile communication. So I just thought there is definitely kind of this like unaware, like the market is kind of unaware or slow to think about how to adjust and slow to take action. And yeah, I just thought that was really interesting.
It is really interesting. And I would never have thought to look at iTunes downloads. That's just such a tech savvy way to approach the problem. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so but I think it started to pick up as time went on, but they were definitely delayed on taking any kind of action.
Yeah, very interesting. And then you had a discussion about low tech Japan, which is very interesting coming from your kind of high tech marketing type of industry. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons why I think about this a lot is, of course, my job, but Japan has a very high tech image, right? Everybody
Yes.
like when you put out something, everybody's like commenting like Japan's the future and everything like that. But that's not always the case. Like Japan, I think can make the tech, but the market doesn't use it. So there's this big gap. They're able to make it in really amazing products and tools, but not a whole lot of people are using it. And without that, it's hard to move things forward. Like if we just look at smartphone use compared to other countries, Japan's smartphone adoption is like very low, under 80%, I believe, 70 something percent. And China and Korea, UK, they're all in the 90s. And so it's I think that's kind of interesting to think about.
That is. Yeah, the when you go into like a cell phone shop and you still see the Oyster phones or the flip phones, and you're like,
Yeah.
seriously? Are there people still using that? Wow.
I was making fun of my colleagues actually. Well, I think it's also cheaper to buy
Yeah,
to plan for
they're
it,
super cheap. Yeah.
right? So like my colleagues, my company just got cell phones for everybody for work, and it was those like flip phones. And I just like made fun of my coworkers. I'm like, you guys got flip phones in 2019, like it's funny, but yeah, that's just how it is.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Because I think we in our modern lives we kind of just assume that everybody's got a smartphone. But that's not the case. I mean, I think in the same section on your website, you were talking about somebody else's tweet where they said their kid was studying at home, right? Do you want
Yeah.
you want to tell that story?
Yeah, I don't know who he is or anything, but I saw it and it was him talking about a friend's kids or something where like their kids were in school and they were moved to online, but the teacher would go to the house or something like that, or to check on if they were doing the work or something like that. And I'm just like,
and then they have to do an application and they have to fax the application for the online learning for the kids, right? So you have to still use a fax even if you're doing online learning. So yeah.
And it sounds ridiculous, but I completely believe it to be true.
Yes, yes, I believe it. I believe it to be true as well. And then let's give some positive examples about company brands that really stepped up during COVID, which you feature in your website. For example, the APA
Yeah.
Hotel.
Yeah, they opened up to people with light symptoms, right? Just to kind of ease the congestion on the hospitals. And kind of, I think, probably also to help people stay away from their family and their loved ones while they were infected.
Which is great.
Yeah,
We
that is
saw
great.
that happen in New York. I didn't hear any stories about hotels in Hawaii, but we saw that definitely happening in New York. Big hotel chains were offering rooms. So that's really great to see in Japan.
Yeah.
And then you talk about the free manga.
Yeah, I just really came across it. I'm not a user or anything like that, but just because a lot of kids were at home, just to provide them a little bit with a little bit more entertainment, the publishers kind of released free volumes of manga for them to, be entertained by.
That's awesome. And then all
Yeah.
the parents around Japan go, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I'm sure they're under a lot of pressure suddenly being stuck at home with them.
Definitely. And then I saw this on Twitter as well. A few friends, there were alcohol, like beer or sake companies, a whiskey maybe, that shifted
Yeah.
into sanitizer.
Yeah, they shifted into making alcohol that was above the minimum amount needed just for sanitation purposes, because in the markets and in the drugstores there was a shortage of sanitation supplies and tissues and masks and whatnot. So I think seeing these companies kind of readjust their usual business to help out, I think is really big.
Yeah, shift production to meet that demand with a new supply chain. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I like that these are in glass, reusable, recyclable bottles, not plastic. So there's another sustainable feature there. Also, you were talking about famous Japanese people like Naomi Watanabe.
Naomi Watanabe, I think she was really early on helping people out. Like she opened up a live stream on YouTube, and I think it initially was just her eating dinner, and it was just for people who are alone at home and need some company to just eat together with her. So like she would make her meal and sit down, like no makeup, just like in her regular room, and just like do like a regular person does, and just kind of chat and eat.
That's awesome.
And I think yeah, that is awesome. She's really good about doing that kind of stuff. I was really surprised just seeing a lot of celebrities do stuff, because I think in Japan, not a whole lot of celebrities speak out politically or express their views. So to see them do some kind of action to help out, I think that was a really big thing to see.
Yeah, awesome. And she seems, even though she's super famous and super popular, she always seems to connect to everybody, and everybody likes her. And I haven't met anybody who doesn't like her. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then Shiseido, example?
Shiseido, I think they started in France, but they were making some kind of sanitizer as well.
But it
they
was
also had
moisturizing sanitizer, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like you can sanitize as much as you need to and still protect your hands. And they were going to share that recipe with other companies making sanitation supplies. So that was really good of them as well.
That's really good. You don't often hear of businesses collaborating too much in Japan or sharing recipes, like you said. So that was really nice to see.
Yeah.
And Sharp
was the first company I heard that were going to do something. They decided to make masks, right? I think they were asked by the government.
Yeah, the government asked them to, and then they shifted production and were making masks. And then when they started selling it, they sold out and crashed their website. There was just so much demand still, right? But this part is you're talking about them changing their logo, which is really interesting.
So they their Twitter is very famous in Japan for being kind of, I want to say more like an American brand where they're very responsive and reactive, witty, very, they're not so stiff. And so they changed their logo to put the house kanji in it, just to say like, we're at home, stay home kind of thing. And that was a big deal because I don't think a lot of companies in Japan are willing to do anything with their logo or change. Like, I mean, we did a campaign for a client, and just to change the background image and the text on the account was like such a big conversation to have. And so most companies are very stiff. So it's kind of refreshing to see a company like Sharp be
That's
that
really good.
malleable.
Yeah. And to have something so public about stay home when that officially was not a clear message, I
Yeah.
think that shows leadership, brand leadership, right?
Yep. Yep.
Nice. Let's shift to some of the Hawaii brand response. To have a comparison. You did such a nice job, the Japanese brand message and the Hawaii brand message. And I think there's similarities and differences in each, and it's quite interesting. This was the CPB. Was it a bank?
Yeah, it's a bank. I think they're the fourth largest, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, Central Pacific.
Central Pacific Bank. And they did a campaign to support local restaurants and eateries where they would pay for half of the bill. So if you order takeout or delivery from a local shop, you can take a picture and send your receipt to them via DM on Twitter or Instagram, and they will send you 50% back on PayPal up to like $100,000 or something like that. And I thought that was really amazing. The speed that they thought up that campaign and then to implement it and then to actually do it, I think was like such a huge deal. And that's not something that I see at all in Japan, to be honest.
No, yeah.
I mean, like UFJ just raised their ATM fees at convenience stores during COVID, and it's just like, you guys are going the wrong way,
Yeah, I mean, people here in Japan are struggling, just like people in America are struggling. People have lost their jobs, or, a lot of fritas, a lot of people with part-time jobs, very insecure situation. Kids are out of school, so kids who were food insecure are not getting the school meals. There's a lot of similarities, but Japan is not really addressing those social problems quite as well. So I was happy to see this in Hawaii.
Yeah, that was my favorite campaign that I've seen.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Really good. And this is definitely something that is similar to what Kevin Meyerson, he was seeking sustainability number 10. He lives in Karuizawa, about an hour away from Tokyo in a small village. And he's helping with 5 other collaborators to get a bunch of restaurants online so that they can offer takeout menus and do orders and stuff, because there's that hurdle, the tech hurdle. So they're stepping in and trying to support the local restaurants.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think, there's a huge need for that right now, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And it'll continue for a while. This is not going to be over anytime soon. But what a great initiative. Well done, Central Pacific Bank. Good job. Yeah. So that's also really good branding, right? The idea of branding is to get new customers, but to also keep your customers and make your customers loyal to you because you have ethics, because you're a good business, right? So that
you're a good part of society that we're all part of.
Yes. So I think especially now during COVID, it makes a lot of sense for businesses to do sustainable branding, where you show that you are a business that cares about people and cares about the planet. It makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
You are a marketer, so of course you know that better than anybody. I love this one too. This is in Hawaii. Shop local specials.
Yeah, it was a magazine. I think it was Honolulu magazine, and they kind of worked with a whole bunch of local artists that make products and have their own small little brand, and they kind of just put them together and made like this big flea market sort of thing, giving discounts to people who shop from any of these companies.
That's a great idea. And that's
Yeah.
definitely something that could be done in places in Japan too, right?
Yep.
Shopping local online for food or goods definitely helps support these small businesses that are struggling right now. You had this example from other people on social media, I believe, supporting frontline workers.
Yeah. I was really just interested in what was happening back home. So I was just going through all the businesses, and I would see friends sharing things on mainly Instagram. But I saw, like Watanabe Floral is a flower shop in Hawaii, and they, donated flowers to, frontline workers. And I just think, the little things, like maybe they can't do something, they can't make masks or sanitation supplies or anything, but just the little things to cheer someone up for a little bit, I think makes a difference. And yeah, I mean, as a viewer, I have a little bit more positive image of them just from seeing this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think, and it's not only about the companies themselves, but I think it's kind of positive branding for a destination too, right? Like you see so much of this happening and on social media, so everybody sees it, that you're kind of thinking, oh wow, Hawaii maybe is a nice place. Like it's spread beyond the company itself to the brand of the area. And I think that is something to keep in mind, right? That's why collaboration between companies helps everybody as well. Your last one's similar to the Naomi Watanabe thing, but Jack Johnson in Hawaii.
Yeah. I think he did a stay-home concert performance. Everybody just tune in. I think Jack Johnson and other artists, like if they can, entertain somehow, that's what they can do to help everybody in the situation. So I saw Jack Johnson did a Together at Home campaign and put on a performance for everyone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all the examples I have. Any other comments? Anything you've seen recently?
No, not offhand. Well, not offhand, but I think this whole kind of branding and showing social responsibility and whatnot, Japan is definitely a little bit behind on that. And I was trying to research this kind of thing too. It's the market is very different. Like I think the average consumer doesn't care or doesn't know to care about this kind of thing. And I think that's a big difference. So like if we talk to a Japanese company and, not one of the top, companies with big budgets, they're not going to understand why they need to show this side of their company.
Right.
And so it's still not there yet. In Japan, it's mostly make a good product and then market it and brand it for a particular segment in the consumer market and then just push it that way rather than this is who we are behind the scenes. This is our brand. This is how we are part of society. This is what we, do to help out and whatnot. It's not that full encompassing brand.
Yeah. Not yet.
Yeah,
not yet. It's still traditional marketing, traditional branding style, right? Like you have to be in print, right? Is the mindset. So in my husband and I, we often work with local companies and talk about social media marketing and digital marketing. And it's about transparency and it's about showing the reality of what your business is and what you actually do. It's not the old style marketing advertising. It's a new world, right?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of challenges though, right? Like Japan as a culture is kind of risk averse. So they are more reluctant to change from what they know and what has worked. And then management is probably older male. And, there's no incentive for them to change and take a risk on their legacy at the company. So, changing something that they've been doing for the past 10 years is not in their best interest. So if they're on their way out to retire. So I think a lot of factors come into play. But I think eventually they will have to adapt and they will have to make changes.
I think so too. And I think COVID, this work from home situation, it might actually push things in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because it kind of equalizes the playing field. No longer is the person who stays till midnight at the office, is that the value, but the value is on the actual product of work that happens no matter where it happens or how long it takes to happen, right? So that's a huge shift in the corporate world in Japan. So hopefully other things like we work from home, so we need better computers. We need to have smartphones, all that stuff is being pushed as well. So I feel
It'll
positive.
be interesting.
Like the next step. But yeah, it's still a hurdle, a struggle.
Yeah. Yep.
So I have a big question. Did I convince you that you know a little bit about sustainability?
Yeah, I mean it's all related, I guess, right? Like whether or not you realize something is related to the other thing, like we're all related in some way somehow. So yeah, you convinced me.
Yay! Definitely. Awesome. Yeah, I mean that's the thing about sustainability. People think it's a really narrow niche thing, but actually it relates to everything. And what you're doing with marketing and all your savvy high-tech know-how is so important for sustainable brands, because the big brands that are not sustainable, they know how to do it. They're greenwashing, right? So the brands that are actually doing good, they need better marketing. They need to know how to do it better. So I really appreciate your insight, and you're doing a great job with your blog and your videos and your,
Thank you.
Everything you're doing is so good. So I really appreciate you and
Thank
all
you for
the work
having me.
you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the series. I appreciate
Thank you for
it.
having me. It was nice talking with you.
Yeah, really nice. Nice to talk with someone from Hawaii and relive all those beautiful photos too. Thank you everybody for joining today and for joining in this conversation with us and sending your comments and questions. And we'll see you again tomorrow. I've got another talk tomorrow, 5 p.m. With Tokyo Chipo. Do you know Tokyo Chipo?
I do. I've heard of Tokyo Chipo.
Yeah. So often for them as well, they're going to say, but we don't do anything sustainable. But they do. They do. And I will point it out.
You're good at that. You can do it.
Okay. Thank you. I'll do my best. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow. Thanks, Barrett. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, everybody.